Hey everyone, I wanted to do a really quick tip on public speaking, just in general. This doesn't have anything to do with cybersecurity necessarily. It doesn't have anything to do with conferences per se, but it does have to do with the way that you present and the way that you get ready for present. So if you're looking at changing your game when it comes to presenting, one thing I have to stress is that practice exactly what you want to do. Now, I don't mean practice word for word, but if you've got a range of topics, don't just focus on the areas that you maybe not don't know as well. I'll tell you a quick story. I work for Malwarebytes. I do a lot of traveling, a lot of speaking for them. And I was on the road and I was coming up to a presentation I was really looking forward to. It was of the group down south. And so what I was hoping to do was present a lot on what we do is I talk a lot about the value. I talk about the struggles around MSPs and IT companies, and then I kind of lead into our product, and then I do some questions, and it's really interactive. It's a lot of fun. But here's what I did, is that I knew the product. I talk about the product all the time. So what I did is I made a big mistake, is that when I practiced my presentation, now, when I practice my presentation, I am an ad hoc kind of guy. I am now anyways. There's a point in time where I had to know exactly what I was speaking about. Now, if you give me a slide, I'll just make up stuff if I have to. No, honestly though, I'm really good now at doing it from the hip. But even still, what I did, and even though I had been doing this for quite a while, I only practiced the value part of it. I only practiced the stuff that wasn't necessarily related to the product. And you know what happened to me is I got up in front of all these people, I had my slides even, and I went through it, and I got to the end and I had an extra 5 minutes or so, and while I was on stage, and luckily I was able to recover, and I talked about whatever else I talked about, and man, I felt like $1 million. It went really well. I covered all the things that I thought I wanted to cover until I got off the stage. You get that high after doing a really high energy presentation, and I walked out into the hallway, and then it clicked. I didn't talk about the product. I mean, I mentioned it. I'm from that company. I had a slide for it, but I didn't go into any of the detail and talk about a lot of the benefits that I wanted to. Now, there's two parts to this conversation. There's two lessons to be learned here. First is, make sure you practice and you go through the motions. Even though you know something, a topic really, really well, go through the full motions. Now, the other thing that actually turned out to be a bonus out of this was that I had a couple of people come up to me afterwards and say, I loved your presentation. Let's talk about what you're doing. It was so refreshing to see a vendor come up and talk about the challenges that my business sees. They didn't spend a lot of time on product. And it was so great to see that you're focused on our needs and just not your needs when selling software. So two big lessons out of that. First off, practice what you want to practice what you want to present rather, and don't always keep it about your product. There's value and there's relationships to be built when just talking about the business, when talking about the challenges of your customer and understanding their needs. All right, anyways, that's all I have today. Talk to you all soon.